Ever wondered what makes America? Well, America, it's not just the land or the people, but a set of powerful ideas written down on paper hundreds of years ago. These aren't just dusty old documents. They are America's blueprint, the very DNA of the nation. I'm talking about the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. Today, we're going to peel back the layers and discover the story, the struggle, and the enduring genius behind them. Let's travel back to 1776. The air is thick with tension. The 13 colonies are at a breaking point with Great Britain. It's a classic story of a long distance relationship gone wrong. The colonists felt ignored, overtaxed, and controlled by a government thousands of miles away. They were tired of taxation without representation. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the principle. They believed they had fundamental rights that King George III was trampling all over. In the midst of this turmoil, a committee of 5 men, including Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and John Adams, was tasked with drafting a statement to the world. Jefferson, a quiet Virginian with a powerful pen, took the lead. He didn't invent new ideas out of thin air. Instead, he channeled the spirit of the Enlightenment, borrowing from thinkers like John Locke, who argued that governments exist to protect the natural rights of their citizens, life, liberty, and property. Jefferson famously tweaked this to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This wasn't just a poetic flourish. It was a radical declaration that the purpose of government isn't just to protect what you have, but to create an environment where you can strive for a better life. The Declaration of Independence is essentially America's breakup letter with Britain. It lays out a long list of grievances against the king, but its most powerful part is the preamble. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. These words were an earthquake. They declared that rights don't come from kings or governments. They're inherent to our humanity. The document announced the birth of a new nation, founded not on shared ancestry or religion, but on a shared belief in liberty and self-governance. It was a bold promise, a statement of aspiration, but a promise is one thing. Building a nation is another. After winning the Revolutionary War, the young United States was struggling. The first attempt at a government, the Articles of Confederation, was a disaster. It created a weak central government that couldn't collect taxes, regulate trade, or even maintain an army effectively. The states were acting like 13 separate, squabbling countries. It was clear something had to change. So, in the sweltering summer of 1787, delegates from 12 of the 13 states gathered in Philadelphia. Their initial goal was just to fix the Articles. But visionaries like James Madison and Alexander Hamilton knew that wasn't enough. They needed a complete overhaul. They decided to create an entirely new framework for government, a machine that could run a nation. This became the United States Constitution. The convention was held in secret. The windows of Independence Hall were nailed shut to prevent eavesdropping, and the delegates argued, debated, and compromised for 4 long months. The central challenge was creating a government that was strong enough to be effective, but not so strong that it would threaten the very liberties they had just fought for. Their solution was a masterstroke of political engineering. They created a system of checks and balances and separation of powers. Power was divided among 3 branches: the legislative branch, Congress, to make laws; the executive branch, the president, to enforce laws; and the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, to interpret laws. Each branch was given the power to check the others, preventing any one part from becoming too dominant. Think of it like a game of rock, paper, scissors, where no single player can win every time. Another major debate was between the big states and the small states. The big states wanted representation in Congress based on population, while the small states feared they would be constantly outvoted. The solution was the Great Compromise. It created a 2-house legislature, the House of Representatives, with representation based on population, and the Senate, where each state gets 2 senators, regardless of size. It was a messy but brilliant compromise that held the fragile Union together. But the Constitution wasn't just about the mechanics of government. It established a republic, a system where the people hold the power and elect representatives to govern on their behalf. The preamble famously begins, "We the people." This was a revolutionary concept. It declared that the ultimate authority in this new nation wasn't a king or an aristocracy, but the citizens themselves. However, when the Constitution was sent to the states for ratification, it hit a major roadblock. Many people, including prominent figures like Patrick Henry, were worried. They saw this new, powerful federal government and feared it would become another form of tyranny. They asked, where are our rights? Where is the guarantee that this new government won't trample on our individual freedoms, just like the British did? This criticism was powerful. Several states agreed to ratify the Constitution only on the condition that a Bill of Rights would be added immediately. James Madison, who initially thought a Bill of Rights was unnecessary, came to see its importance. He recognized it as a crucial tool for protecting liberty and for reassuring the public. So, Madison sifted through hundreds of proposed amendments and distilled them into a concise list. In 1791, 10 of these were ratified by the states and became known as the Bill of Rights. These first 10 amendments to the Constitution are the bedrock of American freedoms. Let's look at a few. The First Amendment protects our most fundamental rights of expression, freedom of speech, of the press, of religion, and the right to assemble peacefully and petition the government. It's the reason we can criticize our leaders, worship as we choose, and protest for change without fear of government punishment. The Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, continues to be one of the most debated parts of the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures, meaning the government can't just barge into your home without a warrant. The Fifth Amendment gives us rights in legal proceedings, including the right to remain silent, what you often hear as pleading the Fifth. And the Sixth Amendment guarantees the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. These rights weren't just abstract ideas. They were direct responses to the abuses the colonists had suffered under British rule. The Bill of Rights essentially put a fence around the government, clearly marking the lines it could not cross into the lives of its citizens. Together, these three documents form a cohesive blueprint for the American experiment. The Declaration of Independence is the why, the statement of ideals, the nation's mission statement. It sets out the belief in equality and inalienable rights. The Constitution is the how, the practical framework. The user manual for the government, designed to balance power and serve the people. And the Bill of Rights is the guarantee, the promise that the government created by the Constitution will not infringe upon the fundamental liberties proclaimed in the Declaration. Of course, this blueprint wasn't perfect. The soaring words, "all men are created equal," were written at a time when hundreds of thousands of people were enslaved. It took a bloody civil war and constitutional amendments to begin to correct that original sin. It took decades of struggle for women to gain the right to vote, and the fight for equal rights for all Americans continues to this day. But that's the genius of the blueprint. It was designed to be a living document. The founders knew they couldn't foresee every challenge the future would hold. So they built in a mechanism for change, the amendment process. The Constitution has been amended 27 times, reflecting the nation's evolving understanding of freedom and justice. These documents challenge every generation of Americans to live up to their ideals, strive to form a more perfect union. They are not just historical artifacts. They are a conversation we are all a part of. They are the standard against which we measure our progress and the inspiration that fuels our continued pursuit of liberty and justice for all. Understanding them is understanding the heart of America itself. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey through America's founding documents interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments which part of this story resonates with you the most. Until next time.